Are we on? We are on. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Entrepreneur with Ducere. We're up to episode 8. Thank you for joining us. If this is the first time you're joining us, this is where we sit down with an entrepreneur and we discuss all the things that they do. We get the inside scoop on what makes them tick. And tonight is no exception. Tonight we're here with Michael O'Connor, mixer, the DJ, the audio engineer, and we're gonna tap into all those questions that you want to know what goes into making your favorite album. If you have a look around us, we're in Mixer's studio here in Fitzroy, in Melbourne and Collingwood. Correction. We encourage you to submit questions. If it's the first time you're joining us tonight, it is live. This is happening right now, and we would love you to submit any questions that you may have. So let's get the ball rolling. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for having me. Tell us, when did you first get into music? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
I really got into it when I started collecting music. I sort of got into it when I woke up one day when my parents were playing loud music and Michael Jackson was like on the TV.
MJ.
Yeah, sort of that. And then, but then really it was when I started finally collecting vinyl.
Okay.
Probably when I was about 20 or something like that. And then it just snowballed from there, really.
Okay. And now you're in here and you're making music. And from what I understand, you've worked with some pretty big name artists, some household names. Tell us a little bit about the types of people that you've worked with over the years.
I've worked with lots of different people. Probably the biggest thing recently would be the Avalanches.
Okay.
Worked on their recent record. I've worked with, I've done a bit of TV lately, did the new Olivia Newton-John TV show.
Yep.
With Delta Goodrum.
Okay, cool.
And I did a little bit of Picnic at Hanging Rock, the first episode of that.
Right, yeah, cool.
And then sort of kept going back. I worked with Daniel Merriweather on his new album, which is coming out soon. Cool.
Cat Empire was on that list. I saw that.
Cat Empire. Yeah. Yep. It goes on and on, actually.
Okay, cool. So, wow, it's exciting enough to hear all those types of people that you work with. And I think that's, I always get amazed when, you tell me the stories. I've been working with this person, I've been working with that person. I think that what's cool about tonight is kind of us trying to understand, I know for me, someone a bit more old school who's gone in and bought many CDs in their time, what actually goes into making that album. And so I'd love to hear from your end, what's the journey like from when the artist walks in to, I guess, the finished product, and what's your involvement throughout that?
It's a big process. It's from initially sort of meeting somebody, getting to know them, finding out what they want, how much money they have, how much time they have, if they have the songs written already, if they need them written for them. So, you got to get all that stuff out of the way, work it out. And then once you've worked out all that stuff, then you can start sort of planning. So usually, once you've worked out the time frame, you'll work out a period to a pre-production.
Okay. So
that you can get everything ready. So when it comes to the actual studio session, say it's anything from 3 days to 3 weeks or whatever, that you can get the most done, and time doesn't get wasted. So I guess, and then from there, then you sort of get in and just make sure everyone's comfortable and sort of make a plan of either, there's so many different ways to record. Whether it's everyone playing at the same time, or is it, do we do the drums by itself, or drums with the bass, and then add guitars and keys, and then do vocals. There's so many different ways to do it.
It's funny you say it, because I remember the other day when I was asking you about what's the difference with some of the artists, and you were saying to me, Angus and Julia Stone, when you recorded them, that example that you gave, how they actually record on different days, or not in the studio together. And
I don't know if that's knowledge, I thought that might be secret sort of stuff. Nah.
Delete.
No. I think they preferred at times because they spent a lot of time together, you know, like because they're brother and sister, so it was easier for them to do their own bits, you know, like I'll do it this day, you do it that day. So that works for them, you know?
Yeah.
So it's fine.
And I think that's part of the magic. Like for all of us, what we hear is that end product, which is a seamless song or a seamless track, but the magic of that, putting that together is happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a super cool part of it, you know, like, and I think that's the intrigue, you know, where we're unfolding some of the secrets that happen here, which is super cool. But, you know, I would envision with a lot of some of these kind of big name artists or TV companies that you work with there, they would often have like multiple people saying, you know, do this, another person doing that. Like, you know, how do you, I guess, manage the different types of people involved in such a process?
It's really tough. You just have to go in like with a bit of a professional sort of thought. Because if you get too attached to, you know, things you don't have control over, then you're just going to get emotional and you're going to say things and it's only going to be, you know, people are going to get angry and it's really bad for your career and stuff. So I sort of just make sure I go in, do my best, make it as good as it can be, move quick, don't think about things too much, and then once it's over, move on.
Yeah, okay.
Because, anything could happen. Like on a recent project that I worked on, you know, we finished it off and it's sounding amazing. And then as time went by, it got all the songs got reopened up and they got changed and mixed by someone else and blah, 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 blah. You know, by the end of it, it's just like, it doesn't even sound like what you did.
Yeah.
So, and you could get angry or you just go, well, it's not mine. I got paid and, you know, you sort of move on. So those jobs are really different from passion projects.
Okay. Interesting. And do you think that I guess, in your earlier days, and I know you still do this now, but when you know, back in the day when you started as a DJ, do you think that kind of, that experience has helped with this part of the process of you being an engineer now? Has there been has that helped, having that hands-on experience as a DJ for so long? Yeah,
it's been massive because, I mean, I DJ'd for like, far out, probably for, you know, I have for over 20 years. And I used to own a record shop because it got out of hand at one stage. And so, and it was just all vinyl. So it was all soul, jazz, and, you know, and a lot of hip hop, bit of rock. So, so I mean, my knowledge of music's really, you know, vast. Yeah. So when it comes to the studio, when people come to me, I sort of know where to go. Yeah, right. You know, I know how it's like traditionally it should sound, or where, you know, like with modern sort of elements, as genres moved over the years, I can sort of, you know, work out ways to make it modern. Yeah, right. Give things a sort of feel. So definitely, DJing is like a massive key, I think, to being creative. Okay. And from, I guess, like, there's the like, if you can see behind us now, obviously you can see behind us. This is what's this called? What's this? The desk? You could call it it's like a console, I guess. You know, it's really just a desk, but it's sort of meant to look like the old mixing desks with all the faders. But the faders now are sort of are in the computer. So, but all this sort of gear here is all outboard analog gear. So it records all this and it gives you like a nice analog sound, but it's all captured in the computer. So it's sort of like a blend, both worlds. And I guess you must have experienced over the years, like as in every sector, that technology changes at such rapid paces. For you and like, I guess, this world, the music making world, what kind of changes have you seen from a tech perspective that you've had to get across, or programs that you had to learn, or anything like that? Yeah, I mean, right when I started, because after I had my record shop, I went to RMIT and I did 1 year of this course, like a music production course. And then I got a job at one of the major studios called Sing Sing. And I learned under an engineer called Adam Rhodes. And so I went in, he said, come in every day for like, that he's there. and he was there every day. So I just went in every day, you know, didn't get paid for like a year. That was in like the biggest studio in Melbourne, maybe like the Southern Hemisphere. And that was, I was kind of lucky because it was right at the change, like at the end of when the technology was changing from analog tape to digital recording systems.
Right.
It had already been, you know, around for a while before me, but it was right at the end where they were still using both. But then, so I was there in the 4 years that I was at that studio, that maybe after 4 years, the tape really dried up and it was just straight digital. So that's like, so I just got to catch that bit, which is really good. So I have sort of those skills, but nowadays kids that are learning, they, to get that experience, it's like, I don't know how you could even get it.
Yeah, right.
Because it's gone, you know, that medium, it's not gone, it's still amazing. But yeah, it's really hard to get that sort of.
It sounds almost similar to, you know, people that, who are becoming photographers now, who don't get access to the darkroom.
Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah, same, exactly the same.
It's funny how in the arts it sort of does that, you know. Do you think there's going to be a revival of the old? Like, you know, like...
Oh, well, it's still, I mean, there's a tape machine just there, I don't know. But the thing is, you know, like a picture with, you know, taken with film is like way better than a digital picture, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're different, but so yeah, there's always, they're sort of just two different things, even though they're the same thing, they're quite different, you know. If you want an analog shot, you can't really get it with digital, right?
Yeah, gotcha.
I mean, you can emulate it.
Yeah, but it's just not the same, right?
Yeah. So.
I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier, and you said that you had that kind of almost like a work experience or internship over at Sing Sing for like a year, and it sounded like, if you're going to do this, we're not going to pay, you're going to come in, you're going to learn, and that's kind of how it's going to work. That sounds like, was there times there, and I can imagine, I don't know if this is, try to picture this to be the case, that everyone's working to like early hours of the morning and no one leaves the studio, and it's, you know, like I'm picturing something along those lines. Can you kind of share with the audience like what that's like, that when you're in here and you're just making it happen?
Yeah, I mean, when I went there, it was just purely because I was obsessed with it, you know. So I didn't care really how long. I loved just being there. Yeah. And I was so broke because I couldn't work, but you know, it was fun.
we made do.
No, I just DJ'd when I could, and like, yeah, my record collection slowly got smaller as I sold off records to eat food. Yeah, no, but the hours, when I was under Adam Rhodes, the hours weren't too bad. They were sort of, because he had a family, so we'd start at 10 usually. That's like, you know, the music start time. And then we'd finish, maybe we'd go to like, sometimes like 9, or sometimes we'd go to 12.
Yeah.
So those, but they'd be like, but that was like every day, you know, there were no days off. It'd be like 3 weeks or something, just every day, bang. So it's like, you know, sort of fatiguing. But then so that was, yeah, that were great, easy to manage, you know, your life. But then when you start doing things like TV shows like X Factor and stuff like that, where it's really factory stuff, and there's, you know, like almost an album of material that needs to be like recorded and mixed in a week, you know, because all those songs that are on the shows are all pre-recorded.
Oh, right.
So pretty much just like the lead vocal is the only thing, you know, so everything's pretty much mimed.
Right.
So yeah, so you got to do a whole album in a week. So those,
wow, that sounds like pressure.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got, yeah, it's a pretty complex sort of system. Like, you know, people are recording drums over here from somewhere else. Someone's doing synthesizers, and they all just come in on the internet, and they all just like link up, and it's like. But anyway, I'm just getting around to those days can be, you know, like whatever.
Yeah, right.
Like 30 hours, whatever, just until it gets done, you know.
Yeah.
And if you're like an assistant or a helper, you're just there, and you're like,
yeah, no one leaves. No one leaves at the mafia.
Yeah. So yeah, but I don't really like doing that stuff.
Yeah. We're working tight shift here. You know, 6:30 we're out.
But it's all experience, and yeah, you know, you learn. I did learn heaps from working on that stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's a common thread from conversations we've had on this show, is that it's like, you know, people's like, experience in the early days and setting that tone of hard work ethic and like just doesn't matter how long it takes, you just got to get it done, sets like, I guess, the path to success. And yeah, which is cool. I think that what I'd like to know more about is, how does someone who does a job like this, like, how do you market yourself? How do people know to come to you to make their album or work on their TV show? How does that actually work?
Well, I guess, you know, it's your reputation and so it's, for me, it's all word of mouth. I mean, I have a website, but I haven't even updated or anything. It's, you know, it's so out of date. So I guess all my work comes from word of mouth.
Yeah.
So just, you know, my name's on records and it's a really tough one to sort of talk about because I'm really bad at self-promotion.
So, we can see that, but well,
so yeah, like it's surprising. Yeah, it's surprising that work does come in. So I guess it's just word of mouth, and people hear things and they go, I want it to sound like this. So yeah, they come to me.
He's the man.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't actually know the answer to the question, you know.
But I think that what it almost would seem like, yeah, it is word of mouth, and obviously you don't get such high profile people wanting you to work on their album unless, you know, you're doing amazing stuff. So I think that that's almost like, I mean, it's like that old school, you know, saying, it's like, it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it's like, it sounds like you've got in front of enough of the right people making awesome albums, then it just like, you're getting the phone call, can you get onto this? To get to that spot where you're making music and people are hearing it and going, okay, I want to work with this guy because it sounds, you know, I like that style and I like it because it sounds a little hip hoppy, but it's not, you know, something else. So it takes a while to get to that point because you pretty much have to make every mistake, you know, to learn all the tricks to, you know, like the skills to get to that level. So, and you have to make all those mistakes on people's work. You know, like, so, like we may have stuff. So you sort of like, so you're learning, you know, so you start off and you have your first engineer gig and you do an okay job, and then, you know, the next time you do something, you try a different technique, and, you know, it mightn't have sounded that good, but or you might just totally mess something up, and you just sort of got to like try and get work, and the ones you messed up, you had to hide them sort of away, you know, so the word of mouth didn't ruin you. I know it's pretty funny, but so I just felt like I sort of kept going up, and I was like, oh, I was a bit disappointed, and then things started getting better, and I was more proud of my work. And I think, you know, my name, I was happier to sort of maybe put it out there and say I did this, or push it a bit harder.
Yeah, so I find now I've like made, I mean, you know, I've made most of the mistakes. Wow. I don't have to guess anymore as much, you know? Yeah. So that just brings confidence. Yeah, right. When you don't have to worry. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's cool. Tell me, like, in your line of work, is there much travel involved? Like, do you with, whether it be if you're working on an album or DJing with a group or something, or are you in here most of the time? Like, what does your days look like?
Yeah, I mean, I have this space with my friend. We share it, but I could be in any studio really, depending on the budget or what needs to be done. But so I travel, like I might just go to like a house, maybe like with a band, you know, take some gear, go set up and get a different vibe in a house. Or we've only had this for about a year now. And it facilitates like heaps of stuff. You know, I can make a record. We've got a drum room in there and a vocal booth in there, and I can have everyone playing here, and so it's good. But recently, because I DJ as well, I DJ for an artist, Baker Boy, so on turntables and stuff like that. So I've been traveling pretty much every weekend for the past maybe 3 months or something. So yeah, I've been
just Australia,
traveling heaps. Yeah, just Australia. So I just we did the Groove in the Mood tour, and then we did the Baker Boy headline tour, which was all around Australia. And now we're doing 2 dates in Norway.
In Norway?
Yeah, next month 2 in Norway, and then we come back and we do Splendor in the Grass. So yeah, so weekends I'm away. And yeah, and then other days I'm just filling in here with mixing people's stuff or yeah, whatever. So yeah, I just sort of book ahead and go, okay, I've got these days free, so it's an awesome balance that I have at the moment.
It's funny because when I was speaking to you the other day, you're like, oh, come in and check it out on this day because I'm going to be in Hobart, and I think there's like, I don't know, for someone like myself who listens to I guess the stuff that you're doing, I always think such exciting work. I mean, I wish I was doing something cool, dealing with cool artists, flying to Norway. Like it does sound like how I picture it to be in the movies.
That's exactly how it is, bro.
Yeah, it's the real deal here. It is the real deal here.
No, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. It is fun, but like, it's not. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've got to execute 100% every time, and then you've got to deal with people that are trying to either rip you off or trying to get you to do things for the least money, and there's travel, and then there's just it's just it's tough.
That's a really interesting point you just made. We've heard this from other people who are like kind of in more creative sort of roles about like how do you quote accordingly? Like, does an artist come to you and say, I want to book you out for a week. I want to come to your studio for X. The album's going to take Y. Like, how does that business side of what you making the decision to go ahead with someone and get them in the studio? How does that actually work?
Yeah, I guess you look at the artist and either they're like an independent or they're signed to a record label.
Okay.
So you sort of have in your mind like what you sort of maybe like what your day rate is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you start there, and then you talk to them about what it is, like how long do they want? Maybe they just want to do one song, or they want you just to mix it, or they want it mastered, which is like the final process to make it as loud as possible and all that. There's just so much that goes into it. But usually, if I don't want to do it, I'll sort of just charge, a bit higher. And then usually they'll come back and say, oh, we don't have that much money. And I go, all right, I'll help you out. And then
one for the people.
But then if it's a major label and it's for like a massive amount of time and they can commit to all these dates, then, you sort of bundle it up. Yeah, it's just, it always changes.
Okay.
But you pretty much, like, it depends if you really want the work or, and how much you're willing to budge. And, but you've got to, like, the music industry, not everyone has heaps of money. So, you've got to help people out as much as you can.
On that helping people out, I know that you've done quite a lot of work with Indigenous communities. It's a cool story. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Share with the audience a little bit about what that's all about and what your role is in that.
Yeah, it's a company called Indigenous Hip Hop Projects, and my oldest friend actually that I've known since I was 3. It's his company, and they go to like remote Indigenous communities, and like usually with health themes, and we work with kids and make a music video. So so you'll gather up the kids, the boys and the girls, and then you'll get together and this is on the first day, and you'll brainstorm ideas, to do with the theme, like whatever the theme would be. And then you sort of like talk about positives and negatives. So you sort of have, and then so brainstorm those sort of things, and then have another section where it's about all their favorite places to go.
Okay.
Like, the water holes and sacred places.
Yeah.
So we do all that, and then we write lyrics, like using all those categories, put it together and write, a couple of verses and a chorus and a pre-chorus, and then work out like maybe like a special moment, which might be one of the elders actually playing Dig, or something, like a little special bridge part. Then the next day they come back and we get all the kids, and they all like write their name next to their 2 lines that they want to do, and then everyone that wants to be on the pre, and I record them all. I make a beat for them first, and I let them choose it. So then I record them all doing it, And then I stay up at that night, put it all together, and then they go out, and then each kid does, like, the film crew takes over from there.
Yeah, right.
And they all rap their little, lines and sing along, get big groups and do the choruses. And yeah, then they do, once they've got all the footage, they edit it up, and like on Friday we'll have a barbecue and hopefully have a big screen and bang it, and kids running around going crazy. And
and is the idea behind that to be able to then take that same video and share it with other communities and have that as like the message, rather than like, this is bad, or
I guess so.
What's its main purpose?
Well, I guess it's to like, to let the kids know about what's right, like about the issue, like the health issue, but sort of do it in song and make it fun.
Yeah, okay.
Have them sort of singing about it, and not it just being like a serious thing where they just go, oh no, I don't want to hear what you're talking about. So they end up like,
they get engaged with it.
Yeah, you just make it fun.
Yeah.
Even like some of the topics can be pretty brutal.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's really
but then you sort of do have other towns watching each other's videos and sort of seeing what's going on in other communities, which is it's cool.
Yeah, interesting. So good opportunity now. If you have questions, I'm looking at Matilda. We have questions. There's a couple of questions coming in. Keep them coming if you have some. How are we going for time? We're still good? We're on the 30-minute mark. All right. Okay. Well, you and I just flying through this. It's a shame that we can't turn this seat a little bit more, because on my left here, there is a stack of 3 different, what are they? Can I show spin it? Yes, all right. We're all going to see this. We're going to see this. I just don't have this little come off. But if you can check out here, those 3 keyboards, are they, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're everything that we can see in front of us are getting used. And before we started this interview, Mike was telling me about a new little piece of equipment he picked up. And do you want to just talk to these guys about something like this, what you do with something like this? Because I walk in, I've got no idea what it is.
I just bought this today. It's an MPC Live. It's a new version of an old MPC, which is this one.
So it's the full upgrade.
This is like the old one. It's a real analog thing, sort of clunky. It sounds amazing, but this one here is more. This one here has a battery. You can hook it up Bluetooth, and it sounds amazing. But so it's just pads. You can assign drums to the pads and sounds, and then you can arrange it all in here, and sort of mix it all. And
so what does that mean from the perspective of what it used to be like having to get a bunch of artists in a place together to get the music done, to now, if you just have a solo singer being able to just create it on this? Is that what the purpose of it, or is it something else?
No, I mean, electronic music beats, a lot of like hip hop is made on, this type of machine.
Okay.
Like from back in the day was made on that machine over there.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, you can't, if you want a band, you need a band.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's mainly for electronic sampled music, but the other ones here.
Okay. Cool.
Good answer that one.
Yeah, perfect. So do you want to tell us about a little bit of what work you're doing at the moment?
At the moment, I'm working with a young artist called Kian. He's 15, but he's very promising. He's got a couple of songs that are coming out really soon. Working with him, and it's just Baker Boys taking up most of my time. They're like really the only 2 things I've kind of got going on at the moment. But every week,
something new pops up.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing. My calendar doesn't stretch very far, but it just sort of fills up. It's a weird way to live.
But I think it's interesting, because a lot of us, myself, is the type of person like everything is so regimented, you know. But I the ability that you have to be able to have that flexibility and be like, we can put something in here, we can do something here. I stress with that sort of stuff, and I always admire the people who have the ability to be far more fluid with this sort of stuff. And I always think And I wish I could be like that. Instead, I'm like watching, Happy Here, I hate being late, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but your bank account probably looks way better than mine.
I wouldn't be so sure. So, look, before we jump on to some of the questions, a couple of more things that I'd want to cover with you is, first is like, if there was someone who was looking to kind of pursue a road similar to yours, down a creative field, and turn it into their chosen profession, would you have any advice? Is there anything that you could share with me that from your own road that you would say?
So what are you saying again? Sorry?
Like, let's just say there's people watching at home and they're like, look, I've always wanted to be an artist, or we've got graphic designers that work out of our business. Like, how does that? What advice can you share from your experience?
I guess it's like, if it's a creative thing, like like an art, I think you can't really force yourself to do it, to want to do it. It's more like you got to want to do it.
Yeah.
You don't really have a choice, because you just like, that's what you think about and stuff. If you've got that passion for something, and I think you dedicate, then you're gonna dedicate.
Yeah.
Regardless of how much money you're sort of making, you're just gonna make it happen. I mean, for me with music, when I wasn't in the studio, when I was first starting out, I was at home and I was doing it, for fun.
Yeah.
So I was always learning, because I was so keen on it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're really into something and you want to do it, and you do it every day, then you're going to get good at it.
Yeah.
And people are going to see that, So.
Wise words being spoken. I have one more question. You made me think about something. Tell me about, is there any artists off the top of your head that you've worked with, you just think, wow, they've got a serious work ethic, or, you admire their ability to come in and just like make it happen? Is there anyone that you can think of? Because
more like a producer, engineer, my friend Jan.
Okay.
Your mate too.
Yeah.
Jan's Ducere. He's a producer. He's done so much stuff. But his work ethic is crazy. Yeah. I learned a lot from him. He just works and works and works and works. He's a nut, but he's very talented and he gets a lot of work. So, he does very well for himself. But I'm just trying to think of an artist who has an ethic, really good ethic. I don't know. Lately, I've kind of felt like artists are a little bit lazier than they used to be.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know. I'm not seeing as much hunger as maybe sort of when I first started. To tell you, I can't actually think of anyone who's the most hungry right now.
Yeah. But to keep the eye out on Kian, he could be big.
Yeah, he's always writing, and he's
he's 15. If he's got time.
Yeah. Please look out for him. Yeah, he's great.
All right, Matilda's got some questions for me. Thank you very much. Nothing too complicated, I hope. Okay. Who is your favorite music producer? I like Andy Wallace.
My favorite would be, if you're talking like, classic pop stuff, probably like Quincy Jones. But if you're talking hip hop, it would be someone like Alchemist or something like that.
Okay. Now, I don't know what this is. What DAW are you using? Also, what mics do you use?
I use Pro Tools as my DAW. I make my beats pretty much on the MPC, this bad boy. Microphones, I have a bunch. This isn't actually mine, but we just acquired this for the studio. We need to get a new power supply for it, but it's a Neumann.
Oh wow!
It's a U67. It's a pretty thing. So it's,
how old is that?
It's 60s.
Wow.
Yeah, it's worth, I don't know, it's probably worth about 15,000 or something. But yeah, that's just the best mic ever. So yeah, that's That's a good vocal mic.
That's cool. And how much of a difference in sound is like using something like that versus using one of the new ones in there make? Is there a big difference?
I mean, sometimes, I mean, by the end, when, you know, you got the whole song and you played it back on the radio, you mightn't, you know, realize, you know, the difference. Like, you could use a shitty sort of mic and and make it sound good. But if it's an intimate thing where there's not much, like it's an acoustic guitar and like just a vocal, if you use that mic, you're going to hear like just sort of like a massive round body that you can emulate, you know, like with new stuff, but
it's not the same.
No, it's like the valves, and I don't really know. It just sounds better.
All right,
and it's 15,000 better sound.
So it's serious. Okay, do you think you needed to go to uni/study for your career?
It helped to sort of, you know, learn about the basic stuff. Yeah, it was I'm definitely glad that I did the 1 year at RMIT, but really it's deep end. Like what you learn in the studio is, you got to work in a studio. Yeah. Well, I mean, all the schools and stuff, you're learning little bits and pieces, but
it's not the same.
No.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair enough. Question here is, who's your favorite musician you've worked with and why?
My favorite musician, I reckon it'd be maybe Daniel Merriweather, who's a singer.
Yeah.
Because he's just ridiculous. Like he's singing his harmonies and he's just such a good friend. Yeah, I look up to him a lot.
He's worked with some big names, hasn't he? He's in the States, isn't he?
He lives in England now, but he worked with Mark Ronson on Daniel's first record.
Okay.
Which sold like, you know, almost 1 million in the UK.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Serious.
Yeah.
What do you like about being a sound engineer compared to being a musician?
Well, I mean, I like being a sound engineer because I get to work with the best people, and like I'm not the best musician. I'm pretty good like at making beats and DJing and stuff, but when it comes to, you know, like every instrument, like who's the best guitar player, who's the best drummer, who's the best keys player, who's the best singer, like I get to work with them and have my input with all my knowledge, you know what I mean? So I'm not the best at it. I'm not going to be the best at any of those things. So I'm just happen to be good at something where I get to work with everyone who's the best.
Yeah, right.
So I get to get that energy. So, yeah, that's you know, the combination.
Cool. And if you could work with any artist, who would it be and why?
Any artist? I don't know. I've kind of like, I'd like to work sort of with like someone like Mark Ronson, who, you know, he's an artist, but like as a producer, I'd like to work with him because just he's like the people that he uses, like the sort of bands and the success and just the sound and his references, because he's a DJ, you know?
Yeah.
Like he's coming from DJing in New York, and so that's why his stuff works, because he knows how to, you know, grab that genre and make it work at this sort of certain time. So yeah, I'd love to work with him.
Cool. Cool. Well, we're wrapping up, and Matilda says we're done for time. So thank you everyone for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. As you know, we're back on next month for another episode of Entrepreneur with Ducere. So tune in. We'll let you know where it is. Mixer, thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
And we're out. We are out.
Thanks for having me.
Is that it? Are we off?